is Monday, and we are about to pop open another bottle of Alabama football bubbly and dive into a conversation. And what better way to do that than to be involved with the conductor of the conversation, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. Welcome in my own words with yours truly of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Excited to have everybody locked and loaded onto the show. On today, we got a phenomenal conversation to dive into, discuss, talk about, and immerse ourselves in, or submerge ourselves in, as I should say. But as always, we're bringing you this show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this to you through YouTube. Speaking of a channel, go ahead right now, do this right now. Give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn on all of those notifications so that way you can have the best news, notes, updates, alerts, and analysis on your Crimson Tide. The show is brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't picked up your four-finger bling necklace, go get that right now, showing that support of Alabama football as it owns the fourth quarter. It did that last week against Georgia. Definitely owned the fourth quarter last week. So go pick up that four-finger bling necklace courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. But along with streaming this through YouTube, we got you also covered on Facebook. So for all my Facebook people out there, streaming this to you guys. Twitter family as well, coming to you also. So we got you on the YouTube, the Facebook, and Twitter. As always, I'm joined each and every time by the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio, John Ivory, doing his thing. And we want you, the Alabama football fans, we want you a part of the conversation today. Do not let today go by without letting your voice be heard. 205-448-1358, the number to call in to be a part of the conversation on tonight's show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you, as last week over the weekend was incredible. And we're going to jump into the first topic of conversation right now, people. And last week, the thought process was last week, Mac Jones has to beat Georgia if he's going to get into the Heisman conversation. I mean, he beat Missouri, but that was a weak Missouri team. They didn't have any defense, despite the fact that Missouri returned 8 defensive starters from its 2019 group. But that was a weak Missouri team, no defense. They didn't have no steppers. They don't have no thugs, no criminals, no hard hitters. That's not a marquee defense. So then Mac Jones goes and he plays well against Texas A&M. Well, they didn't have no defense. They don't got them gorillas. They don't got them killers. They don't got them thugs. They don't got that pressure like Texas A&M ain't nothing for real. And then Mac Jones goes out there once again and beats Ole Miss. But the thing was, Georgia got the heat for him. Georgia got that pressure. Georgia got that D on lock. Like, Georgia is going to be the team. He ain't going to do this against Georgia. He ain't going to be slinging that ball around against Georgia. Georgia got something for that. But Georgia got something for Mac Jones. If he can go out here and do this thing against Georgia, the best defense in the country, we'll see then. He ain't going to do that against Georgia. Mac Jones went out there, people, and tore Georgia apart like a turkey on Thanksgiving. Carved Georgia to bits. And Mac Jones, battle-tested quarterback. He went out there first half against the Bulldogs over the weekend. He had some nerves a little bit. There was a situation in the game where Devontae Smith was open on a hitch and go or pump and go route, little seam route, and Jones is about to load up the arm and get him the football. Offensive line didn't protect a part of the field, and blitz came from Jones's blind side, and the ball wobbled in the air there. I don't believe Richard LeCount actually got the pick, but was recorded as an interception. You know, Jones had some frustrations there in the first half, but every quarterback that's vying for an opportunity to win the Heisman Trophy, what do? They flush those plays, they put those plays behind them, and they continue to play football. And once again, you know, Mac Jones showing you the moment is not too big for him. He went out there in that first half, He continued to play well, or continued to fight, and had Alabama on two really strong drives to cut into that Georgia lead. Of course, the 2-minute drill drive he had in the second quarter that ended on a Will Reichert made 52-yard field goal that had the entire place in a frenzy. And we'll get into Reichert a little bit later on in the show, but that made the score 24-20. At halftime, and then Jones came back in the second half and just really torched the defensive secondary of the Bulldogs. Prior to this matchup, Georgia came in, number one in the SEC, one of the top defenses in the country, giving up 12.3 points per game. It gave up 41 to Mac Jones in Alabama. Georgia, prior to this matchup, came in number one total defense in the SEC, one of the top total defensive units in the country, giving up 236.7 yards per game. Alabama touched it up for 546 yards offensively. So that's a little bit, that's double the production, or a little bit over double the production that Alabama put up on that Georgia defense and getting the win. And, Mac Jones in this matchup, 24 for 32 passing, 75% completion rating. This is the fourth straight game Jones has completed at least 75%. That's unreal. Fourth straight game. Mac Jones, the only quarterback, or the first quarterback in Alabama history to have three straight, back-to-back 400-yard passing performances. He did it against Texas A&M. He did it against Ole Miss. Came back and did it again against Georgia. 417 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, just on fire the entire second half, putting the ball in the hands of playmakers, getting those guys the ball in space, not being rattled by the frustration that he had in the first half, and putting it on, once again, a Georgia defense that a lot of people said coming in, best defense in the SEC, best defense in the country. Mac is not going to be able to do this against Georgia. I remember, going on the Feinbaum show Friday of last week, and I sat there and talked about how, Mac Jones was going to be prepared for this game. I talked about how the defense was very frustrated by its performance against Ole Miss. This is going to be a very lasered in, locked in, determined group against Georgia, and my prediction was Alabama to win the game by 17. Now, of course, the people out there on social media, Feinbaum himself chuckled a little bit. People on social media chuckled a little bit. Everybody, once again, thinking Stephen M. Smith has no idea of what he's talking about. He has no idea about college football. But yet, Alabama wins the game by 17. And, man, if I was working for Las Vegas, we would have some rich people right now. We would have some people in the club going, money, 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 honey, rags, rags, rags. If I was working for Las Vegas, that would be exactly what's going on right now. But Alabama got the win, and this puts Mac Jones squarely into the Heisman conversation. He's right there. Mac Jones is right smack dab into the Heisman conversation. Mac Jones for Heisman is a real deal right now. It's a real thing right now. And I would put him over Trevor Lawrence right now of Clemson. Now, I understand people feel like Lawrence has locked up the Heisman, but no one's challenging Clemson in the ACC. They steamrolled Georgia Tech 76-3, and I'm pretty sure Trevor Lawrence was bored playing in that game. They steamrolled Georgia Tech. When you look at Mac Jones, you played against a Missouri team that had a top 15 defense last year, played well. You played against a Texas A&M team that scored 24 points on you, offensively it did, and then defensively A&M returned some major guys in its defensive front. It didn't matter. Mac Jones tore that group up. You go up against an Ole Miss team to where Mac has to carry the whole team because the Alabama defense gave up 48 points and 647 yards offensively. Mac Jones said, hey, check my drip, coach. I got you. And still went out there and carried that football team. And then this past week, in the game against Georgia, this was supposed to be the defense that knocks Mac Jones silly. Mac Jones goes out there and mollywops. He put the Stone Cold Steve Austin smackdown on that Georgia defense, getting the 41-24 win. So to me, He's above Trevor Lawrence in the Heisman conversation right now. Mac Jones above Trevor Lawrence. Mac, once again, 24 of 32 passing, 75% clip there, 417 yards. The only Alabama quarterback to go 3 consecutive 400-yard passing games, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, he propelled Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle to go off again as both guys over 100 yards receiving. John Mechie, the A-Day connection between Jones and Mechie, still crisp. Mechie 3 catches for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. Mac Jones earning the SEC Offensive Player of the Week for a second week in a row. Got it the first time in the win over Texas A&M, came back and got it again for the performance against Georgia. He also made the Davey O'Brien Great 8 list. The Davey O'Brien Award, the oldest and most prestigious quarterback trophy in college football. The award became a quarterback-only award in 1981. Of course, no Alabama quarterback has won the honor. Mac Jones has a chance to could change that, as he made the Great 8 list for the Davey O'Brien Foundation. Also, Mac Jones, a weekly honoree for the Manning Award, courtesy of the Sugar Bowl Committee and the Manning family. When you talk Archie Manning, Peyton, and Eli Manning, college football, SEC royalty, NFL royalty also, that family right there. So a huge week for Jones in terms of the accolades, in terms of Alabama coaching staff player of the week, the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, and now some national recognition for Jones as well. I mean, if you were to compare the first 4 games of Joe Burrow from 2019 LSU and Mac Jones right now, a lot of similarities right now. And Burrow won the Heisman a season ago. The people I spoke with in the offseason talked about how Jones has the opportunity, the ability, and the capability to have a Joe Burrow type of season. So let's look at this right here. So the first 4 games of 2019, the numbers of Joe Burrow here. Joe Burrow, the first 4 games, he played against Georgia Southern, Texas, Northwestern State, and Vanderbilt. Those are his 4 games. So Joe Burrow, those first 4 games, completed 100 of 124 pass attempts. That's 80.6% completion clip for 1,520 yards, 17 touchdowns, 2 picks. That was Joe Burrow's numbers first 4 games of the season. First 4 games of a full season. He had cupcake games in there, and plus this is pre-COVID, pre-coronavirus. So Mac Jones in a coronavirus era, Mac Jones, tougher schedule. Mac Jones, zilch, nada, cupcakes. Mac Jones, through 4 games, completing 90 of 115 passes. That's 78.3%. So he's right there on the heels of Burrow. Burrow, 80.6. Mac Jones, 78.3 there. Mac Jones, 1,518 passing yards, just 2 yards behind Burrow. Burrow, 1,520. Mac, 1,518. Interesting here. Mac Jones, 12 touchdowns, just 5 behind Burrow. 2 picks, the same as Burrow. So you can see through the first 5 games of the season, first 4 games, of the season, the numbers on Mac Jones and the numbers of Joe Burrow, highly identical. And this is with Joe Burrow having full season, cupcakes included, no coronavirus. Mac Jones, and also Joe Burrow had a spring. So Mac Jones, no spring. Mac Jones, coronavirus situation. Mac Jones, tougher schedule, 10 games, conference only. Numbers right there on that same line as Joe Burrow. So he right now, Mac Jones, got to put him now in the Heisman conversation after the way he performed, after the way he stepped up and played big-time football there against the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, with his performance, especially in the second half, Najee Harris got going, over 100 yards rushing for him, 152 off 31 carries with a touchdown. Alabama able to convert on 3rd down, keep the offense on the field. Once again, coming to the matchup, Georgia only giving up 12.3 points per game with Mac Jones out there. Alabama nearly quadrupled, that total, scoring 41 on Georgia. Mac Jones helping Alabama put up 546 yards offensively, a little over double the amount that Georgia gave up prior to this game. So everybody spoke on Georgia's the team. They got the killers. They got the beasts. They got the dogs. They got the nasty to put Mac Jones down. Not the case. Mac 10. I said it last week. I'm saying it again now. Put him in the Heisman. He deserved it. He right there playing ridiculously out of his mind football. Mac Jones even had Kirby Smart say after the game, they flat beat us. But 2 other times, Kirby Smart was like, we're close. We were so close. We were so close. This time around, Mac Jones, Kirby Smart, they flat beat us. Mac Jones, big performance on his end. We take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started here. Upon our return, we entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your texts, your chats, everything. Bring them in here after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
We are back into the action, the conversation from the break here on the hottest show on the streets, number one ticket for Alabama football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciating everybody tuning into the show on today, getting your work week started off correctly as Alabama will take on the Tennessee Volunteers. Jeremy Pruitt this weekend, Neyland Stadium, Knoxville, Tennessee. But before we get into the phone lines, the call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Blue Wrench Gang bringing us the call segment. But before we get to your phone calls, got a super chat to shout out. How about James Singer? James Singer throwing in that $20 via the super chats, donating the TDA. Appreciate the love there coming from James Singer. But 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. This call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. And we take our first call of the night. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Mr. Smith?
Doing fantastic, man. I can't complain here. It's Monday after a win over Georgia. I saw Coach Saban dance in the locker room. That 68-year-old man can get down.
I tell you what, they must have been listening to our last segment last week, because when I told them to give Silky Smooth the ball, Mac Jones gave Silky Smooth the ball. He is a playmaker. He is the number one receiver on that team. Not downfalling Waddle, because Waddle is explosive. That's our cheetah. But when we need a play to get done, we go to Silky Smooth.
Absolutely. And Devontae Smith over the weekend showed NFL scouts. Guys, he showed NFL scouts I'm a top 5 pick. Top 5, top 10. I do not see Devontae Smith dropping below the number 10 overall pick in this upcoming draft, because even with how small he is, strong hands, the most pure route runner in college football, very, very clutch, dependable guy. And when you talk to, and after the game, Mac Jones literally said this right here. He spoke on, when you have a guy like Smitty that looks you in your face and says, get me the ball, even when he's triple covered, he's got Michael Jordan type competitiveness. I mean, Mac Jones compared Devontae Smith to Jordan. That's something else.
And my last question. Now, being that Ohio them are starting their season, how is this going to go for the playoffs?
That's going to be interesting, man. That's going to be really interesting because the Big Ten is going to play 8 games in 8 weeks. I don't know how Bill Hancock and the College Football Playoff Committee will go about handling it. They'll try to make the best decision they can, I would suggest. But that's going to be interesting to see how they handle it. As of right now, it's a coin flip right now.
Okay. Well, all right, man. I love the show, man. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Appreciate the call there. We take another call here on a Monday. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, man. I just Robert from Mobile.
What's going on with you?
I'm an engineer by trade, so I appreciate stats and numbers and data, and I just laugh them up because you can't prove anything to me without facts, numbers, and data. I don't care what you say. It's just your opinion without facts, numbers, and data. And the way you laid it out for Mac Jones, man, I was lapping it up. Hey, the guy's showing me facts, he's showing me numbers, he's showing me data as to why he should be you not just give me your opinion on why Mac Jones should be a Heisman front runner. He's showing us the numbers. And the only thing that will hold him back is Alabama fatigue. That's it. People are tired of Alabama, so that's the only reason why he doesn't get the love that he should be getting from these experts and analysts. Because you're right, the numbers speak for themselves. You gave it to the LSU guy, and for numbers that Mac Jones are doing as well, and his numbers are even better than Trevor Lawrence's, who's played a few more games and against better competition. That game Saturday showed it. Mac Jones was taking some hits and some licks from LSU from Georgia. And he was getting up off the mat and delivering the strikes. So, like you say, and Joe Burrow, like you said, had cupcakes in between all that. Mac Jones hasn't had no cupcakes. It's week after week. Teams that can beat you if you slip up. Thing is, he hasn't slipped up. So you're right, man. The numbers speak for themselves, and the guy is definitely performing on a higher level. That game Saturday, of course, was just a thing of beauty on the offense. It was really a tale of two defenses. The first half defense, was frustrating to watch, and there was all the things we all didn't like about the defense. The second half defense, that looked more like Alabama's defense of old when you run up against a mediocre quarterback like Georgia had. Okay, that guy's not – you supposed to make that guy look bad. And that's what Alabama defense did in the second half. I can't say defense. The defense was a B- in that game. If that guy was a better quarterback, he could have caused us some troubles because some of those passes he was just missing. But they did step up with 3 picks in there, and you can't. Now those picks they can get on anybody, so that was good too. And of course, Devontae Smith again goes into beast mode once again, showing himself Mr. Clutch with his catches. And he's making some NFL level catches. Just 2 weeks in a row that he's made some of those toe tap, edge of the end zone, spectacular catches for Mac Jones. Mac Jones laid up to where it's either you catching it Devontae or it's going out of bounds, and Devontae's coming down with it. And of course, Jalen Wild is again the stud that he is, and Najee Harris is picking a great time to go into full-blown beast mode. You know what? It's even the best thing about that game on the offensively was when Georgia knew we were going to run the ball, and we ran it anyway, and we got positive yards. That's stud time there, man.
That was outstanding. The fact that it was in the second half, and Nick Saban said, okay, let's go to the run game, let's go to the well, let's run this football, and let's show them we're going to run this football, and they still had no answers for it. That was old school Alabama take the heart football. And Nick Saban has been wanting to get back to that, and to see Alabama be able to go back in the reservoir and pull that out and be able to use that in the second half was fantastic. But, my man, we appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
One more thing before I go to give a shout-out to the kicker, Will Reichert.
Absolutely. Fantastic job by him.
Exactly. I mean, you talking about under pressure. That wasn't a kick to just keep Alabama comfortably ahead, which our kickers in the past was missing anyway. That was, we're behind. We really need this kick for momentum, and he delivered it for us. I mean, that was another good too. That punting, goodness gracious, we got to do something about that. But it's a great game overall, buddy. Good talking with you, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate the call right there. We take another call here on a Monday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Steve?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Coming off a win over Georgia. Nick Saban beating another one of his former assistants, Kirby Smart. And this time, Coach Smart couldn't say we were close. This time he had to say, look, man, Bama just beat us.
Yeah. And by the way, my Demetrius Prince from North Carolina, I just want to be the first to apologize to Mac Jones before the year started. I doubted him. I thought maybe they might want to start Bryce Young, but I was wrong. I admit that. But a couple points I want to make is, that field goal, even though I can compare that to the Terrence Cody field goal block. It's plays like that that turn the season around for a team. I mean, how minute it is, even though it's just 52-yard field goal, it could turn the game, it could turn the season around for a team. And I finally see some real bright spots on the defense coming around. And maybe folks can lay off, Pete Golden right now for a little bit.
Hopefully so. Now, there's still some people saying there's still a lot. The jury's still out there, on Golding. Was that Golding? Was that Nick Saban? Was that more so Charles Kelly out there? But defense did step up in the second half, absolutely. And you're starting to see some bright spots, some alpha males step up a little bit and take ownership of that group. But like you mentioned, the field goal by Will Riker, that was huge. And the young man healthy this year, playing like he's healthy, kicking like he's healthy, and after making the kick, just the energy he showed, and the teammates pumping him up, you gotta love that. But man, we appreciate the call, man.
All right, y'all be good and roll tide.
Absolutely. Gotta love the energy there from Will Riker, man. Pumping himself up, team pumping him up, crowd pumping him up, because that was big. That was big. Alabama needed that to go into the half down 24-20 instead of 24-17. But before we go to our topic here of the moment, gotta shout out my man Kevin Compton. Kevin Compton donating that $4.99 via the super chats, helping us out here at TDA. Appreciate the love there, Kevin Compton, part of that Blue Wrench gang. As always, people, 205-448-1358. But I'm gonna call in to let your voice be heard on the show. But topic right now, how about former Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa? The Hawaiian Magic made his NFL debut for the Miami Dolphins on Sunday against the New York Jets, and what a sight it was. Hard Rock Stadium could not contain itself. 2:27 to go in the fourth quarter. Dolphins up 24-0. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who mentioned over the summer, I'm just a placeholder for Tua. The 36-year-old was leading the cheers. Tua takes the field, takes the snap from under center, and I'm telling you, the footwork was there, the maneuvering of the hips right there, ball placement right there, looked really healthy. Dolphin fans excited, Dolphin organization excited, Ryan Fitzpatrick excited. That there were a lot of things that were going through Tua's mind. Probably the biggest one was just the journey to get back to playing football again. When he got hurt nearly a year ago against Mississippi State, the idea was, will he be able to walk again, let alone play football? And the surgery, the rehab, the training, the push, his faith, not allowing him to fail, still got drafted number 5 overall to the Dolphins, and just seeing him out there having that second chance to live his dream, and the teammates hugging him taking a moment to sit down on the field after the game to reflect on things. Very, very happy for Tua. And Coach Saban mentioned today in his presser that since he's been the head coach of Alabama, there has not been an ambassador of this program like Tua has been. And I know Julio Jones has come to the program. Mark Ingram's come to the program. There's been a lot of great players that have been ambassadors of Alabama football that have come to the program. But from Nick Saban's mouth, none like Tua. So very proud to see that young man go out there on the field after months of grinding and rehab to, pursue his dream and perform his dream. That was fantastic. We take another show. We'll take another break here. My bad. We'll take another break here on the show. Got a little tongue-tied there. Upon our return, we get into the conversation of Alabama's defense. Has its defense decided to turn a corner? Is its defense turning over a new leaf? We'll talk the Tide defense right after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
We're back into the action here, folks. Continuing to sip on this Alabama football bubbly. I have a conversation with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. In my own words, number one show on the streets, number one ticket for Crimson Tide football news, notes, information on a Monday. Happy to have everybody tuning into the show. Be sure to give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you have the best news, notes, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. And before we go to the next segment here, got some super chats to shout out right now. First off, William Bryan. William Bryan here, throwing in that $19.99, helping us out here at TDA. Appreciate the love there from William Bryan. Spencer Reveley coming up in here with that $10 donation via the Super Chats. Appreciate that, Spencer. And not to be outdone, Mr. Roll Tide and Rise Up says, hold on now. I got my $10 here too. So Roll Tide and Rise Up, that $10 on his end. So appreciate the love from William Bryan, Spencer Reveley, and Roll Tide and Rise Up, helping us out here via the Super Chats, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But we look at the Crimson Tide's defense. Is this defense starting to turn a corner? Is it starting to turn a corner? Is it turning over a new leaf? Are we starting to see a defense that is making those necessary improvements, adjustments, and wanting to get better, wanting to be better, wanting to show that there is still some essence of old school Alabama football, even though the game is changing and times have changed and stuff has evolved? Are we seeing a defense that wants to still show some of that old school Alabama savvy defensively a little bit? Because the first half against Georgia, it was a little bit rough there. A little bit rough there in the first half. But in the second half, I don't know what happened. Whether Nick Saban got on them, whether Charles Kelly started calling the plays, whether, Pete Golding had an epiphany. I don't know what happened in that second half. I don't know what happened in that second half. But in that second half, that was old school, dynamic, make him quit Alabama football. Now, there's still some things that have to be cleaned up. Absolutely. But in the second half, you saw some shades of old school, make his butt quit Alabama football. Miss Alabama shut Georgia out in the second half. Shut Georgia off the scoreboard, 21-0. Alabama was much better on third down in the second half. And that's been the bugaboo for Alabama, third down. Not being able to get off the field consistently on third down. Alabama was able to do that second half against Georgia. First half, the Bulldogs converted 5 of 9 third down attempts. Second half, it only converted 2 of 7. And the reason why, the defensive line got a push. A push was provided by the defensive line, and U.S. fans have been waiting for that. Y'all have been waiting for DJ Dale, for Christian Barmore, for Byron Young, for Justin Boygby, for Fidarian Mathis. Y'all have been waiting on this defensive line to get a push, and it happened in the second half. And you saw it where even when it could not get to Stetson Bennett, got their hands up in the air, knocked the ball down. Saban has always talked about, I know sacks are contagious. Everybody loves sacks. Everybody appreciates sacks. It gets people like House of Pain jumping around. People love sacks. But there are other ways to affect the quarterback. There are other ways to make that particular player feel your presence and not feel comfortable throwing the football. And Alabama's defensive front did those things against Stetson Bennett, whether it was knocking him off his spot, batting the ball down, tripping him up, just doing something to keep him uncomfortable. And a big performance for the likes of Christian Barmore and DJ Dale. Christian Barmore had 2 pass breakups. DJ Dale had 2 pass breakups. Justin Boygby had his first career interception. Like, there were guys constantly hitting the pocket this past week, and that was fantastic. Stetson Bennett ended up having 40 pass attempts in the game, 40 attempted passes, completed 18 for 40 passes, a 45% completion clip, so under half. Was picked off 3 times in the game, so the Alabama pressure finally got some turnovers in there, with the Boygby getting an interception, Daniel Wright, Mr. Feast or Famine, getting an interception there, and Malachi Moore, as we break him down later on in the show, got his second pick of his young career. But not only were they able to affect Bennett in the pocket, the job it did against Zamir White. Coming into the game, Zamir White, at running back, big time factor. And Alabama held him to his second lowest rushing total of the season. White only had 10 carries for 57 yards. So the Alabama front kept Zamir White from going off and busting out in that football game. And, along with that, Alabama 10 pass breakups in the matchup, got the quarterback hurries needed to get in the matchup. DeMarco Helms, who got the start for Jordan Battle at that strong safety position. Helms led the team in tackles with 11. So there were a lot of good improvements in the second half against Georgia. Still some things to clean up, but there were a lot of good improvements in the second half, even down to guys like Chris Allen and Patrick Surtain. Chris Allen played well in the second half, had a good showing in the second half at outside linebacker. Patrick Surtain knocked up his side of the field very quietly. Didn't allow George Pickens to do a whole lot. Didn't allow the Georgia weapons at wide receiver to crack, a big performance. And the only reason why James Cook at running back had a 100-yard game as a receiver was the 82-yard play where Alabama got the pressure to Stetson Bennett. It didn't hit home in time, and unfortunately on the play, Christian Harris was running with James Cook. He did not get his body deep enough. He mistimed his jump by a hair, and unfortunately, James Cook made the catch and went to the house for an 82-yard score. But aside from that, Alabama defense, more times than not, second half, buckled down, played strong football. Now, the question of the season is, where's Dylan Moses? Donde está? Where's Dylan Moses? I tried to speak Spanish there. My Dora the Explorer did not help right there. Where is Dylan Moses right now? Because I know in the presser, Coach Saban talked about, Dylan had one of his best games of the season, played a lot better in the second half, and Dylan was a bit better in the second half. But so far, he's not played the way that, U.S. fans and I myself in the media expected coming into the season. And I know Saban talked about it 2 weeks before the start of the year where Dillon was still playing a little bit tentative on his knee, and it's been a year since he injured his knee, and Coach Saban looked at him and said, young man, you're not hurt anymore. Turn it loose, cut it loose, play loose. You're fine. And he ended fall camp playing really well, had a strong outing against Missouri. But since then, Dillon's been kind of quiet, missing tackles, sort of not reading the ball at times, not playing his best football. And for a guy that is trying to be a first-round pick, a guy that's trying to be a top 5, top 10 pick, not showing it right now. So he has got to figure out what's the issue, cut it loose, and play football. He's got to play football fast. He's got to cut the problem loose and play dominant football quickly, because right now that draft stock is starting to slip some. And for somebody that came back for an opportunity to be, a first-round top 5, top 10 guy, he has got to show me something, starting with Tennessee and throughout the remainder of the season, because there is something off with Dillon right now. He's got to come with it. He has got to come with it. I mean, I know he had 10 tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, but he's got to come with it harder and really put this together here, and for the Crimson Tide in terms of his chances of being that first-round pick. But a guy that's starting to step up now as the alpha male of his defense is Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore starting to step up. He's starting to chirp a little bit now as the alpha male of this defense. And until Dylan Moses gets his stuff together, Bama's going to need to lean on Barmore. Barmore's going to have to be the big stepper. He's going to have to step with it. He's going to have to rumble in the jungle with it. Like Alabama's going to have to see Barmore do his thing and kind of put the defense on his back a little bit in this matchup. I mean, he had a big performance against Georgia. He had the 2 pass breakups, had about 3 tackles in the game, hit the quarterback, pressured the quarterback, created some big opportunities there, on defense where negative plays are concerned. We saw what he was last year in limited action through 12 games, 26 tackles, 6 of those for loss, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, a couple of pass breakups, made the all-SEC freshman team. So we know what Christian Barmore is capable of doing, but after seeing how he was able to perform in the second half against Georgia, especially when it comes to getting that Alabama defense off the field and allowing the offense to take more so control of the football game, I think now more so than ever, as Dylan Moses is trying to get himself back right, it is time for Barmore to take more of that responsibility of the defense, be that big stepper that he is, and create some havoc there on that side of the football. But all in all, for me, I was pleased second half of the defense. I felt like those guys went out there. They shut Georgia off the scoreboard. They got off the field on third down. They created turnovers. They made plays. If Alabama can take this performance, if it can take the second half performance against Georgia and apply it throughout the remainder of the season, this is a national championship team. If it could take the second half of Georgia defensively and apply it throughout the remainder of the year, national championship team. But we take another break here on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Don't touch that dial. Just still getting your chest warm here. When we come back from the break, we get back into your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your concerns. We're talking Bama football with you right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back into the action here, folks. Before we get into the call segment right now, call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Got a couple of super chats to shout out. Senator Hines dropping in that $10 donation via the super chats. Appreciate Senator for that. And Willie351 dropping in that cool $2.99 via the super chats. Appreciate that from Willie351. But 205-448-1358. But I'm going to call in. We take a call right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Good evening, Stephen. How you doing this evening?
Man, I am doing fantastic. Coming off a win against Georgia. Can't beat the feeling.
This is Kevin from Dallas, Georgia. I'm in purgatory, but that's another story for another time. Just want to chime in with a few thoughts. And one, you had touched base in regards to Dylan Moses, and upon further review, I somewhat wish he wouldn't have come back. And it's just a matter, I believe, just as you stated earlier, that his draft stock is plummeting. I understand why he came back, but we could all be, Monday evening quarterbacks for that matter. But I wish that he would not have come back, because it's not looking good right now. It's not looking good. Also, as far as when it comes to the defense, Stephen, my concern is when every team that they have played, it's just been more so the other teams defensively. It just seemed to be, number one, making tackles, but also aggressive. And other than, as you stated, the second half of the game on Saturday, I just haven't seen that aggressiveness as far as the University of Alabama is concerned. And the key to beating Alabama this year is going to be really one thing: who blinks first? Lane Kiffin, he blinked first as far as by kicking the field goal instead of going for it on fourth. The same as far as Kirby. Kirby blinked instead of going for it on fourth and getting Alabama to use that doggone timeout, but they didn't. And then also when they missed the field goal, it was a wrap. And lastly, but not least, as far as Stephen, what happened to Scott Cochran? Did he miss the bus? Should I have given him a ride as far as to Tuscaloosa as far as this past weekend, because I didn't see him. But the one person I definitely have to put my hat over my heart over is number 0 for Georgia, because if I'm not mistaken, I think as far as the two tight ends that had pretty much gave Alabama a ruse as in committing to him was Darnell Washington, that's at Georgia now, and Eric Gilbert. Now, Eric Gilbert, he's playing as far as at LSU. But as far as Darnell Washington's concerned, I just hope that Kirby didn't sell him a bill of goods as being a star tight end, because it seemed like the only thing he did the other night was offensive tackle.
And look at all those thoughts you just had right there, man. Going back to the defense for Alabama. You're right. Got to be more physical. Got to be more physical throughout an entire game, and that has to continue this week in practice. Going to face a good Tennessee team under Jeremy Pruitt. Scott Cochran, I thought I saw it. Maybe I didn't. I thought I saw somebody jumping around out there. Maybe that was me imagining things. And then last but not least, I hope things work out for Darnell Washington. He was huge on the recruiting trail. Had Bama looking at him as well as Georgia. So hopefully things will turn around for him, because he is an outstanding talent. But my man, appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Absolutely. We take another call right now on the show. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, Stephen. How you doing?
Man, I cannot complain, man. Doing well, coming off a win over Georgia, so can't beat the feeling right now.
Hey, can we send the entire offensive line to the Downtown Athletic Club in New York?
You know what? I'm going to have to put in a word for to Coach Saban and Kyle Flood and get that done. Now, of course, they did give up 3 sacks in the first half to Georgia, but it was some protection things that broke down. But aside from that, this offensive line's playing good ball.
Yeah, they put that Georgia defensive line to bed without dinner, didn't they?
They did, and they allowed for Najee Harris to grind out 152 yards, a touchdown, and put himself into that Heisman conversation along with Mac Jones and potentially even Devontae Smith. So you got to give the offensive line credit. They've been working.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Hey, how about our old friend Hugh Freeze? Got Liberty 5-0.
Hugh Freeze is doing a fantastic job. That is honestly one coach I do miss in this conference, because at least with him, I mean, Lane Kiffin's going to do a fine job at Ole Miss, but I do miss the Hugh Freeze in Mississippi. I do kind of miss that a little bit.
Well, I remember when that college first opened, Steve, and I know this is off topic, but they said they wanted to be the Protestant Notre Dame, and that was 20 years ago, and they've been treading water. But I think Freeze might get them there.
He's got an opportunity, man. He's got a major shot to do it. So as he continues to grow at that program, we'll see. But we appreciate the call, man. Keep listening to us.
All right. Thank you, Steve. You're doing a good job. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Interesting thought there on Hugh Freeze. But we continue with calls here on the show. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steve? This your boy Smooth, man.
What's going on with you?
Not too much. I just wanted to talk about talk on the defense a little bit. And I do agree. I do feel like our defense definitely did better in the second half. But at the same time, I just feel like we definitely need to keep on building on the second half, because I'm still not ready to say that our defense is a championship caliber defense. Because when you look at Georgia, first you got to look at Georgia. They have a vanilla offense, and their quarterback was mediocre at best. And he actually left a whole lot of points on the board in the first half, which could have came back and hunted if Georgia would have had an elite quarterback. And I say that to say this, that if JT Daniels, anything he was supposed to be coming out of high school, and we get a chance to play Georgia in the SEC championship, at that point, I believe JT Daniels would be the starter, and it could be a totally different offense and different ball game. What you think, Steven?
I think that Alabama's going to have to continue making those improvements, as you mentioned. There were still moments where Bama kind of guessed out there. It got better, but there were still some guessing moments. However, just getting that win over Georgia, showing some improvement, was huge there for Coach Saban. He's got these guys back at work this week. They'll continue to make that progress, but we appreciate the call, man.
Thank you, Steven.
Absolutely. We got more calls here in the queue. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's going on, Steven? It's the Blue Ridge Gang Pimp, baby.
Hey, it's the Blue Ridge Gang Pimp. What's going on, Senator?
Not much, man. I'm just feeling good today, man. I got to call into the after show Saturday after the game, man. And I told you I was going to call back today because I've gotten to watch the game about 3 times now. So, I mean, I just went back and we were talking about our defense. And if you look at just the player discipline that took place, the immediate ability to refocus and start every quarter with the same intensity defensively, that Alabama defense looked totally different from weeks 1 and 2. And we had those games, basically in the bag. Defense didn't perform great, but they were consistent. So I think the message has gotten across to the defense as a whole. Don't wait till coach has to make the adjustments. Let's start with the same intensity, and don't wait so long to make the adjustments. Trust the coaching, trust the assignment calls, and I think everybody saw our defense, the defensive coordinator, defensive staff. They simplified everything. I believe Nick Saban really put his hands in the preparation this week, as far as the script on the defensive side, because those guys were just moving like on motion. Guys were sticking with their guys. There was no hesitation in making calls, making adjustments. The D-line wasn't, looking at the sideline when the ball was being snapped. Those guys were like really hustling to the line, and just the energy. The energy on the sideline was different this week. on the defensive side. You saw Pete Golden show a little bit more emotion in coaching the players. Nick Saban was kind of, more interactive with the players, and it just felt like old school Bama, early Nick Saban era Bama football again, man. And I was just proud of the defense. Malachi Moore being the biggest, not necessarily surprise, but he showed out. Him and Justin Boise, they showed out, man. And offense, we already know Devontae Smith is a man, brother. If I had to put my money on it, I'll go all in on top 10 pick. Just like you said earlier, Devontae Smith is a beast, man. And, looking forward to Tennessee. I think a lot of our fans are getting too high up on that horse. They got a legit defense, man. They're going to make us play. And so, but anyways, man, Steven, thanks for letting me call in. Shout out to the Blue Wrench gang in the chat, man. We back. Man, we got a lot of people trying to get on that Blue Wrench gang, Steven. How we going to handle that, man?
Man, you know what? That is my man John Ivory's jurisdiction. I'm going to leave that alone.
All right, man. Appreciate the call in. Roll Tide, man. Much love, Steven. Keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Appreciate the love there from Senator Hines. Good call there from him. Yeah, John, that is your jurisdiction. I'm not going to handle that. Let me take another call here on the show. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Stephen M. I had to bring this out here really quick, sir. You're going to have to let us know exactly which one of the cheerleading squad was wearing the defensive headset in that second half of the Georgia game.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm gonna tell you this right now, Spencer. It wasn't even a cheerleader. It was one of the sorority girls, for real. One of the sorority girls in Section B had like 2 headsets and a pager at one time.
That is friggin' awesome. Keep her on the field every game, sir.
We'll do that. We got her. We got her on payroll. She is officially on payroll.
Outstanding. Now, a quick question. Let me throw this out to you. One thing that I did notice really big was how strong, intensive, and work through the pain is our tight ends doing right now.
I know right now for Miller Forrestall has been more in the offense this season. I know he got banged up. He got hurt a little bit there in the first half against Georgia. He did return to the game. I would like to see some more guys get involved. I want to see the likes of Jaleel Billingsley get going, Major Tennyson get going, Cameron Latu get going, especially after the preseason camp he had. I know Carl Tucker had a hamstring, according to Nick Saban, which is why he didn't go. But right now, the main one that Alabama's using more in the offense is Forrestall. So as much as I appreciate Miller getting involved, would definitely like to see Sarkisian bring some other tight ends along with it.
I have to agree with that totally, sir, because Forrestall got hurt there, but he sucked it up, came back in, did a great job. One last point. I know he was kind of low on the receiving yards, but tell me about Mechie. Mechie is kicking butt as a freshman.
Well, as a sophomore now, Spencer. As a sophomore, Mechie.
Excuse me, sophomore. Yes.
You good? Mechie's having a strong. Even when Mechie is not having a 100-yard game, Mac Jones still looks in his direction. The first touchdown pass went to John Mechie because the connection that these two have goes back to 2 A-Day games prior to COVID, and it goes back to this offseason where the two worked together in Florida. So while Waddle and Devontae Smith, or Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, are the two big pieces, Mechie and Mac Jones have a connection also. So even though Mechie may not get 100 yards each week, Mac Jones is going to still look in his direction.
Awesome. I'm going to say this last thing, and I'm off here because I know you got your show to go on, but I was tickled to death to see Barmore having to take 2 blockers on to get in the backfield. That freed up other people. Have a great night. Thank you so much, and roll tide.
Absolutely appreciate the call there coming from Spencer. Yeah, Barmore's a stepper. Barmore's a big stepper. He got to continue to work, too. You're live here on the show. What's going on?
Hello?
You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Okay. Sorry, Stephen. I had the phone down. Hey, I cannot wait to see what this defense looks like at the end of the season or toward the end of the season because, in my opinion, I talked to you I'm sorry. This is Dwayne. I'm calling from the Cliff in Kentucky. And I was just wondering if you thought, like I did, that maybe the light went off for the defense in the second half. And I couldn't be more proud of the way they played the entire game, really, but they really buckled down and made it hard on Georgia in the second half.
It did, and I know a lot of it was, Coach Saban with the situation he was in with the positive COVID test that he had, and the players were locked in, trying to play for him. I honestly felt like if Steve Sarkisian would have coached the game, Alabama would have still been locked in, but it meant something to those players to see Saban out there because you've never had a moment where in his coaching career, especially at Alabama, when he has not been on the field. So having Saban out there was a big deal. But I honestly felt like just going back to a comment I made earlier last week, when Alabama came off that embarrassing play defensively against Ole Miss despite the win, I saw guys physically sick to their stomach. They were ticked off. And normally when an Alabama defense plays like that very next week, they're going to be laser focused. They're going to be super locked in, listening to the coaching staff because they know, okay, this is what happens when we don't perform the way we need to, and this is why we got to listen to this coaching staff. So I was proud of the way the guys got pushed up front. The secondary was able to create turnovers. You got off the field on third down. That was really good. If you take this second half and bring it to the matchup against Tennessee and throughout the season, then this is going to be a really, really good defense. But as always, Dwayne from Kentucky, my brother, appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, man. I love your show. I love it. So just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate the support right there from Dwayne from Kentucky. We take another call right now on a Monday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, this is Warren from South Carolina, the pimp with the limp.
He's back!
How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Coming off the win over Georgia. Great game. I'm proud of the way Alabama stood up in that second half. We know offensively what it's capable of, but how about the field goal kicker? How about Will Riker?
He came up big, right? Look,
I mean, the kicker came up big. 2 huge field goals, including a 52-yarder. That was huge.
It's money. I said last week on the show, I put it in the text, 3 turnovers. I said, watch it, 3 turnovers.
You said
3 turnovers. 3 turnovers turned the game on. I said, Alabama's defense, I got the question mark, but they're going to rise to the occasion every single game this year. It's different. They're going to rise to the occasion every single game this year. Bama is rolling. We're going to keep the train going. Stephen A., I always love your show, man. Look here, Roll Tide.
Appreciate Warren, the pimp with the limp from South Carolina, calling in, doing his thing this week. We got another call in the queue right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah. I was calling. They always talking about the receivers, but they don't understand we got receivers on the sideline just as good as them, maybe better, ready to go in the game. So this going to keep rolling from 2020 to 21, 22. We got them coming, baby.
Bama got receivers. You're right. Bama got receivers, whether it's of a 2021 class coming in with Christian Leary, should those guys sign. I mean, Alabama football is wide receiver you. Absolutely, man. Love the call. Appreciate it.
And I'm glad Nick played more defensive players, and he also he played more defensive linemen. I saw Jamil Barrows out there, and he played more defensive backs too.
He did. Everybody more people got on the field, more people got an opportunity to shine. So that was a good thing. Just got to continue to keep it pushing.
But but thanks for the call, man. I'll be happy to call in again, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, Bama got more guys to play defensively. They're going to continue to make that push on that side of the ball. But super chat right here, Senator Hines, the pimp of the TDA Blue Wrench Game Fan Club. Senator Hines with that $5 right there. It's donated there via the super chats, helping us out here on the show. And appreciate you guys lighting us up with your phone calls. Awesome segment right there. But right now, we did this following the Ole Miss game. So we're going to continue to do this. This is the Stevens Report Grade segment as I grade the performances of the players in this football game or in each football game for Alabama. So the grading scale this week starts like this, starting off with Mac Jones. Mac Jones gets an A this week. Mac Jones, an A this week from me, despite some first half frustration. Came out in the second half, shook everything off, played big football, 417 passing yards, first quarterback in Alabama football history with 3 straight 400-yard passing games, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, laid the smackdown for Georgia. Really strong performance there from Mac Jones. Mac 10 continuing to do his thing. He gets an A from me. Moving on to Najee Harris. Najee got an A from me. I mean, prior to the matchup against Alabama, Georgia was giving up just 38.3 rush yards a game. Najee Harris wanted the challenge of wearing down the best run defense in college football. He did just that. 31 carries, 152 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. I think he had 10 carries that resulted in either a first down or a score. Wore Georgia down from start to finish. Big day for Najee Harris and has put himself squarely into the Heisman conversation right along with his buddy Mac Jones. An A for Najee Harris. As we go to the dynamic duo at wide receiver, 2 different grades here. Devontae Smith got an A+ from me. Smitty is sick with it. I mean, he had catches where he was staring at the defensive back going, what then? You can't stop me. What then? He can't guard me. What? He looked at the sideline and told the Alabama players, I got y'all. I got y'all back. I got y'all. Smitty making catches left, right, over the middle. 11 receptions for Devontae Smith for 161 yards receiving. Had 2 touchdowns in the game. Had a just big performance there for Smitty against Georgia. And then Jalen Waddle, he got an A as well. Over 100 yards receiving. Had the 90-yard touchdown where he caught the ball and took off like a cheetah down the field to the pay dirt under the lights in Bryant-Denny Stadium. So A+ for Devontae Smith and A there for Jalen Waddle. As we move over to the kicking game, yes, I said the kicking game, an A for Will Reichert. Does Bama have a kicker? Knock on wood there. I think it does. Will Reichert, 2 made field goals in the game, a 33-yarder to cut the Georgia lead to 14-10, and then a booming 52-yarder prior to halftime that had the fans on their feet. I mean, even Riker got turned up after that field goal. Bama trailed 24-20 at the half, but that field goal, a huge momentum swing. Will Riker accounted for 11 points in the game as he made both field goals and all 5 of his extra point attempts. An A there for Will Riker. When I look at the defense for Alabama, giving it a B this week after an F against Ole Miss. Big improvement. Now, first half was a scare there a little bit. Second half, adjustments were made. Stuff was done much better. Got turnovers, got pressure on the quarterback, got off the field on third down. Better, much improved. Going to go with the B here for the Alabama defense. Still want to see Dylan Moses find himself and get stuff back right, but a B for the Alabama defense at this point from that game. So Alabama making the honor roll this week from yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, in this week's edition of Grades. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, we discuss one Malachi Moore. He's becoming a superstar on a defense trying to find itself. What has made Moore so comfortable on the field? And is he starting to draw comparisons to a certain other former Alabama safety? We'll touch it up after this.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama. If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, we are rocking and rolling back in from the break on the hottest show on the streets, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Got the man, the myth, the legend in the production studio, John Ivory, doing his thing as he does all the time. And we appreciate you guys tuning in to the show on today. Appreciate the calls, appreciate the chats, the super chats, the texts, you guys being involved, making this your show right here. As always, be sure to give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit the subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. Also, be sure to check out WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Get you that four-finger bling necklace. Do it right now. Four-finger bling necklace showing that support to Alabama football because it owns the fourth quarter. Get you that four-finger bling necklace courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. Also, check out TDAwear.com too. We got the shirts, we got the hoodies here for you, whether it's the I Love Hearing Touchdown Alabama shirt, the We Want Football shirts, Let Them Play shirts, hoodies galore. Let us be your one-stop shop for your purchases of all things Bama at TDAwear.com. Showing that support for head coach Nick Saban, the University of Alabama, and the student athletes. But we look at one, Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore, the true freshman from Hewitt-Trussville High School, from Hewitt-Trussville High School in Alabama, near that Birmingham area. This young man is becoming a superstar before our very eyes on a defense that's trying to find itself. And Moore came in to the 2020 class kind of overlooked, underrated. Nobody talked a lot about him in the recruiting cycle. There was more conversation on defensive players like Will Anderson, Jamil Burrows, Jamarian Latham, Brian Branch, Jaquez Robinson, Christian Story, Demoy Kennedy, Jackson Bratton. Other guys had more conversation than Malachi Moore. And the young man came in, put his head down, worked extremely hard. I remember we had, head coach Byron Diviner of Southern Express on the show last week, and he talked about no one's going to outwork Malachi. He refuses to have people outwork him. He studies hard. He plays hard. He learns the game. Coach Saban talked about how Malachi is a great learner of football. He loves to learn from his mistakes. He loves to pick up certain things and apply them to his game. He just soaks. He's a sponge out there. He soaks up everything. And I remember when it came down to between he or Brian Branch, a lot of people had Branch more so than Moore to start at that nickel position. Malachi Moore got the start. According to Coach Saban in the depth chart, he had that big hit in practice on Thayu Jones-Bell if you watch the practice video. But this is one that I got to give a lot of credit to our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Justin called this one. If you are not following Justin Smith, I don't know what to say for you. I can't help you. It's don't save her. She don't want to be saved. If you're not following Justin Smith on the recruiting trail, I cannot help you because this guy is doing it right now on the recruiting trail. Justin Smith spent a lot of time around Moore and his family during the 2020 cycle and went to all of his games, got close with the family. He did a piece, Day in the Life, on Malachi Moore, which was recorded and filmed by our own John Ivory also. And in that video, you know, Justin took us inside what Malachi Moore does on a daily basis in terms of playing football. And check out that video. Be sure to check out that video on Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel, The Day in the Life, featuring Malachi Moore, done there by our own Justin Smith. And in conversations I had with Justin, he would tell me that Malachi's got a little Minkah Fitzpatrick in his game, in the sense of both guys great tacklers, both guys very instinctive, both guys fly off the ball, both guys study film religiously. They have those similar traits. Now, a couple of things that Minkah just did exceptionally well that Malachi's going to have to learn. Number one, when Minkah got a pick, Minkah was going back to the projects. Minkah was going back to the apartments. Minkah was scoring touchdowns. When Minkah got those interceptions, he turned those quickly into pick sixes. That's number one. Number two, when Minkah would come on a blitz, when Alabama would blitz with Minkah Fitzpatrick, he hit home more times than not, either sacking the quarterback, batting down passes, getting strip sacks. Minkah would hit home on the quarterback when Alabama would send him on blitzes during his tenure, with the Crimson Tide. But there are some similarities that Malachi has in terms of the former All-America safety, first-round pick in Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, just for me, seeing him out there on the field, there are moments when Malachi looks like the most comfortable, best defensive back on the field. And this is no offense to Patrick Surtain, because he's playing well, junior, this year. This is no offense to Josh Jobe whatsoever. No offense to Jordan Battle. No offense to DeMarco Helms or any of those guys. I know Daniel Wright's kind of feast or famine, but no offense to none of those guys. But there are just moments where when Malachi Moore is out there in that nickel package, he looks as comfortable as anybody else on that field. And I got a chance to talk with Patrick Surtain during player interviews today. This is what Surtain said in answering my question about the freshman. Check it out. This is Patrick Surtain talking Malachi Moore.
Stephen Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Patrick. I know he's a freshman, but he just looks so comfortable in that secondary. What makes Malachi Moore that comfortable?
Just what he prepares like. He prepares every day like a pro. He steps in confident every day in practice, and it shows on the field. And he's getting better each and every week. And, the sky's the limit, like I said, for him. And he can only keep getting better. So, he's a very valuable asset to our secondary.
That's Patrick Surtain calling Malachi Moore a very valuable asset to Alabama's secondary this season. Moore against Georgia, 2 tackles, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, and 1 quarterback hurry. His interception came in the third quarter. Alabama had a 27-24 lead, but after Moore's pick, Crimson Tide was able to go down the field, get a touchdown to push the lead to a 10-point lead, 34-24. Alabama ultimately won the game, 41-24. This season so far, Malachi 18 tackles, 6th on the team, 1 tackle for loss, 3 pass breakups, tied for the team lead, 2 interceptions tied for the team lead, and 1 quarterback hurry. The young man, an absolute superstar right now, playing on a defense that's continuing to try to turn the corner, turn over a new leaf. But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. It's very simple and easy to do. You get this by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can download it from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you have an Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you right here on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Wednesday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine, have those sent to your door. Link will be found in the description. And also pick up that four-finger bling necklace, courtesy of WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That link will be found in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, I know school is back in. Get that work done, but still find ways legitimately now to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Until next time, folks, it's been in my own words.